right before COVID hit, I started to have some pretty strong feelings to start traveling, to start experiencing a new type of lifestyle. The business I'd been running, this sales agency where we would close deals for other experts and influencers out there that are doing courses and personal development, that business had kind of done its time. And I just gotten to a point where I was tired of the office. I was tired of seeing my staff every day. I'm like, man, I want to see a variety of people. Like seeing the same faces every day, starting to piss me off. Going back to the same bed all the time. I needed to start getting some variety into my life. But what was interesting was there was that desire, but there was also this like thoughts that if I go and be a digital nomad, that's the answer. That's the answer, man, because I thought the core to me feeling tired and being unhappy and not that passionate about what I was doing anymore was because I wasn't being out there and being free, being able to go wherever I want, less expenses, more profit. I've got more time to spend the money, all these kind of things that you pick up off like the 4-Hour Work Week, if you've read Tim Ferriss's book. Not knocking that book, by the way, it's a great book, but I do know that a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last couple of years, that's the thought. It's like, man, be able to go anywhere, spend whatever you want whenever, and, life's great. So I embarked on that journey. And I have to say, guys, that there were some brilliant things that I learned being out on the road for 2 years, staying in Airbnbs, spending a lot of money working on the road, making quite a bit of money on the road too, having Mondays off where I just go and walk around New York or Rome, wherever I was, okay? But the hardcore reality was that it did not answer the question of freedom. Where is my freedom? What is true freedom for me? It did not bring me that. I'm going to be brutally honest here with the truth of this. Most digital nomads that I met on the road, including myself, I actually got to meet me. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I got to stare myself in the face because I answered a desire. It was a desire to travel and go, yeah, man, this must be the answer to a happy life. I got to meet it. And the truth is, it doesn't bring true freedom. I'm going to talk about what I learned true freedom is for me personally. But on the road, most of the conversations I was having with people was, what's next? What's next? What's the next business? I'm in a transition phase of my life. What's the next business? What's the next? I'm working on this passion project. I'm not sure if it's the thing. Where's home? I don't know. I'm discovering. And it's like, it's such a, like that environment is cool to be around because you do meet some fascinating people. But guys, like after a while, when you are in that mindset, oh man, I'm really searching for what my meaning, my purpose is to life here, and you're moving around so much, you come to realize that, hey, it ain't in the digital nomad life. So I'm going to be giving you the pros that I got from the 2-year hiatus. And I'm also going to give you the cons. I'm going to keep going through the cons because I think it's important that you guys understand that first, because everyone I feel like is like infatuated with the digital nomad life. And to be honest, it's great, but I think it's, unless you've done it, I don't think people quite understand what it actually means to be a digital nomad. So let me go through the cons. So first off, it doesn't answer freedom. It doesn't answer freedom. What it gives you is choice. It gives you choice of environment. Okay, that's like a benefit. But in terms of cons, it does not answer freedom. In many ways, guys, it can actually make you feel more stuck. And I want to talk about my experience here. Okay, I lived in places like Bali for an extended period of time, 4 to 5 months. I was in Italy for almost 90 days. I was in Spain very close to 2 months. I did short stints in Paris. Then I was in America for 90 days and moving around between LA, Chicago, New York. And it was great, like moving at that rate and seeing things. But what actually made me feel so stuck amongst all that freedom was I did not feel grounded anywhere. You know, moving between states, you've got different quality in terms of food, in terms of access to public transport. If you don't rent a car, you don't know how good the Wi-Fi is going to be. So sometimes when you rock up to the hotel, your laptop can't get connection. If you don't have a VPN, you're absolutely screwed. You end up paying a ton in terms of data use, and you're tired. You're very tired. Like I found the majority of my travels, guys, I'm going to be very honest here, I was exhausted 80% of the time. Exhausted, and it just made me feel stuck. I've realized for me, what makes me tick is having some sort of routine. If I'm in a routine and I'm getting good rest, eating good food, I know where things are, I don't need to think too much. Okay, I've got my freedom. That's freedom for me. But over traveling so much, I had to think all the time because I didn't know where things were. I had to ask all these questions, and if Wi-Fi wasn't working, I had to go find a cafe that was quiet that I could work in. And if it was too loud and I couldn't work, then I'd have to go search again. It's fucking frustrating, right? And I had to do this in and amongst the pandemic, right? So, you're getting PCR tests thrown at you. Sometimes you actually get more sick on the road. Like I had a cold a few times, not COVID, thank God. But this idea of traveling where you want and moving all the time and being free, like, to be honest, for me, it actually made me feel more stuck at times. So that's something to consider. Another big con that I found with the digital nomad life was it is very lonely. It can be very lonely, guys. Now, for me, I'm someone that values close friendships, close relationships, family time, being around people that I know, colleagues. And when you're out there as a digital nomad, you can get involved in these communities, right? And you can go out to networking events, you can go to different cafes where you'll see the same expats or nomads working in that same place for quite a while. But what starts to happen is you start to realize that people have formed relationships with other people there. And there's like these groups because they've stayed there for like 6, 9, 12 months, like they're a regular. And I found that that's cool. Like if you're an expat and you're actually wanting to live in Bali or wanting to live in Tenerife in Spain, right? That's cool. You're going to build a new home wherever you move. But if you were like me, moving frequently, right? Every 3 weeks, every month or so, what starts to happen is you start to build these relationships, but then they taper off and then you move on because that is at the forefront of your mind travel. So you do end up feeling quite lonely on your journey. You don't get a chance to really connect with people. You can, but amidst working and figuring things out and going sightseeing and stuff, personally, I also found that hit me quite hard for 2 years. It was very hard to build like a friendship group to get some consistency going. So that's also something else to consider. Another thing that I found was incredibly frustrating with the digital nomad life was, guys, and again, some people aren't going to like this, but the actual people I met on the journey. So, I think we fantasize about expats and digital nomads working from these fucking infinity pools, looking out, and there's like 100K on the Stripe dashboard, and we're going, man, I want that. And to be honest, guys, like I met a lot of these people, and to be honest, I didn't really connect with with many of them, and that's probably because at heart I'm not a digital nomad, but I'd listen to their lifestyle, I'd listen to what they're doing, I'd listen to what their life was like in a paradise like Bali or over here, over whatever it was, but you'd hear what was going on and you go, man, this is no different to having a business back in Australia, back in America, wherever you're from, this is no different. You're still dealing with the same fucking problems. But these people that are advertising out to the world, yeah, man, like chilled lifestyle, not much going on. They have a bunch of things that aren't working out for them on the road. Like, for example, the tax structures that some of these people have, it just fucking baffles me, man. What kind of setup they've built for themselves, how they've gone about it, what they've sacrificed in order to get it. Like, the way they're running their business, the amount of money they need to spend on importing, exporting because they're not in their home. Like, some of it's out of control, right? And look, that was a good percentage of the people I met. Some people have truly set up a lifestyle that works, but what annoyed me on the road was, I had this idea of nomad on a pedestal. It's the best life you could think of. But when you see it, you actually see, well, it's not. It's a choice. It's the same. You've got an office lifestyle where you've got the business, you've got things moving, and you've got a certain workflow and everything. But when you become a digital nomad, you take those same pressures, they kind of transform into others, but now you're on the road. And now you're managing people that may be in your home country or things that are happening in your home country, but you're somewhere else. And there might be more pressure. There might not be. I'm not 100% sure because I didn't get to that extent where I took my existing business on the road. I had a new business, but a lot of people I met were stressed. They were stressed. They were lost. They're like, man, this is harder, right? So that's another thing to actually consider here. Sometimes becoming a digital nomad and taking your business on the road can cause more problems than if you just stayed put. If you just stayed put where you are, okay? The last thing that I want to mention, and then I'll actually start talking about the upsides, because if you're watching this right now and you go, fuck, man, I was thinking about doing this. I don't know if it's for me. Trust me, there's a lot of upside, but this is the fundamental con that I want to leave with you guys to really consider. In my mind, the whole, I need to search for my new home. I must just be a digital nomad because I don't know where my home is. Like, Melbourne doesn't feel like home anymore. I moved to Byron Bay. I went to the Gold Coast, went to Port Douglas, and that basically kicked off the nomad journey. I'm like, man, I just can't sit still. I need to travel. I need to move around, Maybe I'm a digital nomad. Maybe I don't have a home. That thing, let me speak to that. When you enter that world and you start traveling everywhere, you will meet many people that also say, I don't know where my home is. I'm a bit confused about it. I'm not sure. And this may not be true for everyone, but it was true for me. That was a belief that came up because deep down, I didn't want to come back to Australia to face shit that I had here to face. I didn't want to handle my shit. I didn't want to take responsibility for things in my life because Australia, Melbourne, represented so much for me. Like, when I left, I just shut my business. I'd taken like 3 or 4 months off, totally in my head, confused about what my next venture was going to be. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was getting healthy, but mentally and emotionally, I was breaking down. Melbourne represented a lot of fucking pain for me. So what I created was, well, it must not be home because I'm going through pain here. So I'm going to go explore the world, or in other words, run around the world and try and create a new home. But what I found was, for me, when I'm in that state, moving and, I'm in freaking Rome and Paris and I'm going, yeah, it's beautiful, but it ain't that good. Like, I'm in that mindset. I'm not capable of building a home anywhere. I have to come back to the source and actually figure this out, right? So if you're in that mindset of, oh man, like I need to go find myself and build a home somewhere, I need to find where home is. Home isn't anywhere. This is what I figured out. Home is not anywhere. Home's here. Home's me. Home's me. Now, if I am rejecting where I was born and where I grew up in, I need to go back and resolve the shit there. Okay, then I can truly go, well, okay, Melbourne's actually a pretty cool place. It's probably the best place to live in the world. Now that I've got that in my head, I can choose not to live here and choose to live somewhere else. Who knows? I may go back to Italy. I may go back to Byron Bay. Who knows, right? But right now, the phase of the journey I'm in, I've come back and I've gone, you know what, bro? I don't know what I was so worked up about. That was just a phase of pressure in my life. But Melbourne is pretty damn good. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I don't feel like I could live here, but it's actually a nice place to live if I chose to. So if you're in that mindset and you're like, man, I need to go and find a new home. I'm lost. I don't know where home is. You need to stop yourself and you need to say, man, home's me. Home's me. I figured out that an environment, a group of people can't be home for you. If you've got shit going on inside and you're out of your power and your mind's not straight and you're not connected to your heart, of course you're not going to know where home is because you're not home to yourself. Okay, but the minute you figure that out, now again, I'm not a therapist here, so I'm not preaching, but for me, this was the shift. As soon as I figured out, you know what, man, like I'm actually pretty cool with being on my own and being home to me. I could go anywhere in the world. It was like, oh man, I need to go back to Melbourne. I need to sort this out. What's all this pain, right? So that's something to consider. If you're going on the digital nomad journey because you have this thing of like, man, I'm so uncomfortable right now at home. Maybe you need to go and experience it for yourself, but I'm telling you, you're not going to find anything else out there. You will convince yourself to the rafters. I will find me on a mountain in Bellardo, in Lake Como, and I've been to Lake Como. You will not. You will be staring at the same fucking thing. What a beautiful place, but it's not home. You are home to yourself. Cool. All right. So that is a big chunk of shit from the digital nomad life. But let me give you some benefits here, because again, I'm not totally off the nomad life. I think for me, it will be a very selective. I'd be very selective when I choose to go and actually do that again. And I'm going to share something a little bit later for what I would do next time if I kind of got the same feelings to go and be nomadic. But the benefits, guys, is the undeniable fact that you have your choice of environment. Like you being able to go wherever you want and have a business and have a lifestyle and have a partner. Like I don't have a partner right now, but if your partner was on board with it and you could go wherever you want, like guys, for a while, it is phenomenal. Personally, I think the best way to do it is to do a month in each place that you go to. If you don't like where you've gone, then yes, you leave, but do a month. Don't do a week or 2 weeks like I did and be in a hurry to keep going. Do a month and get grounded, get into some sort of routine, meet some people, find a good cafe, be in a good Airbnb, get some good food into you. If you're committed to taking your lifestyle and changing it up slightly to be on the road, that's what I would recommend. I'm gonna put a big important note here. Don't be unclear before you start traveling and say, well, I kind of want to travel and I kind of want to do the nomad life. This is where I fucked up. If you want to go on a holiday and adventure and fucking ball out in a resort and really like live it up and do that for like a while, that's different. Okay. And that's what I was unclear on. Like for me, I think doing the nomad thing and having an extended holiday are two very different conversations. I don't want to talk about an extended holiday here because I did that. But I'm just going to advise you to do this. Separate the two. If you just want to get out on the road and work somewhere else and be in a different culture and just to experience it, because it's true for you. By all means, go do it. But the optimal time for me is a month, no less. Okay, because you can't get into a routine, you can't get set up. If you're not on, your business, you're not going to be able to put in the same creative energy to your business. You're not going to really give the culture a shot. So yeah, a month in each place to get into some sort of flow is optimal. And man, if you're doing that, the nomad life's great. Like when I was in Italy, I was there for a good 90 days. And man, I tell you, I got very immersed in the culture. I got into a good workflow, particularly in the north, Milan, Como, Verona. It was phenomenal, right? I really did feel like I was in some sort of flow there instead of in America where I was moving all the time. So that's number one, choice of environment. Second is you get phenomenal weather. Like all last year, guys, for the most of the year, I was just in an eternal summer, right? From Australia's north to all the way down to, northern Sydney. I was up there at the start of the year, ducked into Melbourne for like a week or two and had a little bit of cold weather, but then I was back into Bali, went to New York, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, all these American states when it was hot. Then I got to Europe, and it was on the back end of their summer, so it was still kind of warm. So probably up until about November, let's say early November, I was getting some pretty stunning weather. Then it got very cold in Italy. So you can choose. You can literally arrange your whole year to be in summer all the time. Now, for me, a lot of people fantasize about that. I don't like summer all year. Too hot, too fucking hot. Give me some cold, make my bones chill. I need that. But some people need the summer all the time. So you can literally arrange a calendar to do that. That's a big plus. Third, of course, it's cheap. You can live on a ridiculously low budget when you're a nomad. Like you can really do that. If you find the right Airbnbs, if you pick the right places, get cheap flights, and really do manage your expenses well, especially in a place like Bali, or if you're like some of my other friends, you can go to Thailand or the Philippines, like you would be stunned at what you would pay. So for example, in Bali, lived like a king there. It's just not my kind of place to live. But I spent 1,500 Australian dollars on a villa a month. In terms of food, I reckon I spent anywhere between $500 and $600 a month eating out on food. And it was good food, like good, healthy food, good size, everything. There was like the fees for my my scooter, which was, I would say, no more than 80 Australian dollars a month. Then there might have been some bills for internet and electricity, some money for drinks or for whatever other shit that I needed to buy. Guys, for most of my time there, I was living under $2,500 a month. Now, some people just get off to that and they're like, man, that is the euphoria, dude. I just want a cheap lifestyle. And that is cool. Like I really got off on that for a while. I'm like, man, I like this. I like not spending a lot of money. But to be honest, like I've realized I've got expensive taste. I like clean. I like schmick. I like on time, and I like efficiency. And when you go to places like Bali, Thailand, and what have you, those places are far from efficient, and there are plenty of things to be aware of when it comes to living in places like that with banks, phones, and all that stuff. That's a separate video. But you can live on a very cheap budget, which is totally cool. I had some other things here that I wrote down that I actually can't remember, but I'm gonna share it with you. Now, of course, you've got experiences. Now, this is pretty big. If you have the setup in your business where you have time on your hands, let's say you are the kind of actual business owner that has set up their business where you just need to manage your VAs, your staff daily. Maybe you have a few calls in the morning and at night, but for the majority of the day, you are free. There is a lot to experience being a digital nomad if you have that set up. If you don't need to put in time to do marketing campaigns and sell much, and it takes care of itself, there is so much to see. Like when I was in Italy, when I was in New York, I spent most of my time going on tours. Okay. And I was pretty lucky that I did have some streams of income set up to pay me on the road, which were fantastic. And it allowed me to do these things. But if you are running a business where it requires your effort, okay, i.e., you have a busy job, you don't really have a business, you need, I mean, it's probably not the best choice. But if you do have a setup where you literally just turn on ads, you've got some sales coming through, you've got people managing your marketing, you've got a back end team that do all the admin and the tech for you, and you just need to make sure the ship is moving for, let's say, all of your morning, and then the afternoon you're free, guys, literally it is truly an amazing setup. So there is a lot to experience. You could take up surfing, go to the beach. You can go and explore different parts of the place that you're staying in. Like Bali is a phenomenal place to do that in. And, you can even dive into some other creative projects if you're in the right space. Like particularly when I was in Bolano, okay, I started making a lot of music on the road. Now, typically I've been the kind of artist that just records songs and puts them out on Spotify and that's it. But while I was in Bolano, I had so much time that I got a MIDI keyboard and I started making my own beats, and it was like a new thing for me because I had the time. Now, you can do that when you're a nomad. And what I will also say with experiences, these experiences will give you new ideas. That's what you will find on the road, guys. Sometimes a new environment will trigger new ideas for yourself. Okay. You're not going to find anything, but you're going to have some things unlock in you. Okay. By going and having these new experiences and trying things out. And then I would say as a last pro, it's not really a pro for me, but it could be a pro for many people. It's a chilled out lifestyle. Like lots of people are just doing their own thing. All right. Some people sleep till 11 a.m. and get up and do a bit of work, and then they stroll onto the beach and have a fucking coconut. Like some people really love that kind of lifestyle. Personally, for me, I fucking hate it. I like getting up 6 a.m., go for a walk, get some exercise in, dive in the ocean, get some work done, do some music, do some writing on a book I'm working on. Like, I like to keep active. If you're like me, what I would recommend is that you watch the video that I will do on an extended holiday, because I think that's probably what you're looking for. But if you're someone that's, you don't like to work too hard, maybe you're in human design, I don't know human design too well, but maybe you're a projector, you would love the digital nomad life. You would love moving around and just fucking chilling out all the time, because that's what you have the energy for. You don't have the energy for hustle. But for me personally, it was not a fit. So those are the pros and cons, which really do sum up the reality of the digital nomad life. Now, I want to give you like 4 takeaways for this episode, because I think they're super important. And if you are in the position I was in, where like there's been a big change, maybe you have shut your business, maybe you've been phenomenal at what you've done for a very long time, maybe it's sales, maybe it's you're a coach, you're an accountant, mortgage broker, a cook, I don't know what you are, but you've been good at it for a very long time. You've shut it down and you're kind of lost. You don't have an income stream, and you're like, man, is it being a digital nomad? Is that what I'm looking for? These takeaways are going to be really, really important for you to listen to. So I want you to write them down. So 4 takeaways. Decide. Number 1, decide. Is it an extended holiday that you need? Is it an extended holiday that you need? Now, what do I mean by that? Do you need to literally take some of that money that you saved up? your precious vault, just take a portion of it and go, I'm going to LA and New York for 2 months, and I'm just going to allow myself to go nuts. I know that I'm going to come back here and get back into work and something, but right now I just need to let the pants loose and just fucking go for it. I don't know what I mean by let the pants loose, but loosen the belt, loosen the tie, and go and have some fun. Maybe that's what you need to do. For me, that's an extended holiday. Okay, so like you need money for that to be able to go nuts, especially, take my word for it, especially in New York and in LA, very expensive places. Maybe you need an adventure trip. Okay, now let me explain this. This is not the digital nomad life. Maybe you need to go to a place that you literally have no idea what you're going to find there. I did that. I had no idea whether I was going to like Philadelphia, Washington, Chicago. If you had asked me beforehand, would you go to Washington, Philly, or Chicago? Bro, I don't know what I'm going to find there. I don't know if it's going to be any good. But I went to Tenerife and I stayed there for like a good portion of a month. That's a random island in Spain. I went to Valencia. Like I didn't really have a desire to go to Spain, but I went there. I didn't know what I was going to find. Very different for me to go to, like, when I went to Paris and when I went to LA, when I went to Italy, I had an idea what was coming. But maybe you need an adventure trip where you say for like 2 months, man, I am just going to go and be in a new place. A new place, don't know what I'm going to find, don't know what it's going to be like, but I'm going to throw myself in. Maybe you do what I did and you go to Byron Bay. Okay, I'd always been a guy that went to Port Douglas and Broadbeach and Gold Coast. Never went to Byron Bay. Thought it was weird and too hippie for me. I went and lived in Byron Bay for 4 months. I had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't have a place. I packed up my shit and I just went. Maybe you need an adventure trip. Okay. And again, you want a budget for this. You want to keep yourself on some sort of budget. You don't want to go crazy and treat it like an extended holiday and stuff, because you don't know what's going to be good over there, man. It's about exploration. So you budget, you find a place to stay, you have some things to do, but you go on an adventure. That's the next thing. So if you say no to an extended holiday, an adventure trip, then what do you have left? Well, you've got handle your shit, okay, at home, or set up something and go and be a digital nomad. But please understand that life does not stop. Money does not stop. Relationships, human needs do not stop and do not go anywhere when you become a nomad. Okay. It just changes form. You're going from an environment that you're used to. It will evolve, but the same things are going to be there when you get out to the beach and the coconut and the laptop in front of you. You're still going to have the same problems looking at you. Make a decision what kind of travel you want to do. Number 2. Now, again, I just told you, you got to decide what you need. Number 2, for me, you need to have a base. If there's one thing that I don't really regret because I've learned from it, but if I was to do the nomad thing again, I would set up a base somewhere, a home base. I would pack a smaller suitcase. I would take less with me and I'd be much more organized before I did it. But I'd have a base that I'd be paying to keep, right? Whether it's a house, whether it's an apartment, whatever it is. For me, having a base is important, because if I go out and I do the nomad thing for a month and I'm sick of it, okay, and I just needed to go and work on the road for a month, I want to come back to something. I don't want to come back and be like now, and be like, shit. Okay, I'm going to go stay with my family. Not the worst thing, but would have been nice if I had a place. You know what I mean? Okay, having a home base makes a huge difference, and it'd be wise to get your income up to a point where you can actually do that for yourself, instead of just like cutting everything off like I did and going out there. For me, a base is really important. Number 3. Now, this is a big takeaway. For me, true freedom is found in creativity. If I am not creating something that means something to me, if I am in something and I'm in a funk, and it's usually because I'm not creating. It's usually because I'm not creating. When I'm creating something that is important to me and I feel is very important to people out there, I don't need to go to search for any freedom. I have it. I have it. Back in the day, guys, sales was my freedom. Every time I closed a deal, it felt like freedom. It was like, yeah, man, I'm fucking doing it. That changed for me just when COVID hit. That changed in a big way. I'm like, man, I've done this. It's not freedom for me anymore. But then I found, okay, having a passive income stream is having music. This does that really means something to me. Writing books, that like I care about that. Having a coaching business, having a podcast, like as much as it's pissed me off in the past doing podcasts and coaching, because I've done it before, but like that really does mean something for me. And having that creative freedom, okay, I found I'm less in my head, more in my body, and just moving. And I found that if I use that creative power to achieve meaningful results in my life, then like fuck living in Bali for 2 months and going to Chicago to eat deep dish pizza and seeing LeBron and AD get absolutely wiped by everyone in the NBA. Like those were great experiences, but man, I'd rather be doing this. This means something to me. This truly, truly means something to me. So I'm going to invite you that if you're in that place where you're like, I need something new, maybe it's a nomad, maybe I need to go out there and start an e-com business. No, you don't. Freedom is found in your authentic creation, in your authentic creativity. You need to unlock that. And here's the thing. Everybody knows. This is what nobody's talking about in this space. It's like, oh, you gotta follow these laws, man. Read Expert Secrets and what Tony Robbins says and Grant Cardone says. All great experts, not knocking them, but all that shit that we absorb, like all that how-to, makes it like nearly impossible to start to just go and leap into something that is creatively true for us. Because like I got to follow these fucking laws written by someone that thought they were doing the right thing. That may be authentic to them and authentic to, let's say, like a portion of the market. But if it doesn't resonate with you and you have something on your heart that you really want to create, go and fucking do it. But you are not going to find freedom out there on the road. You are just going to find more roads to travel on. That will prompt more empty questions that will just inspire more travel and more money spent, which is where I was for 2 years. Okay. And I can honestly say the most power and love and happiness that I've experienced in my life, it's been when I'm being creative. It's when I'm doing things that matter. So, maybe you do go and do an extended holiday, a nomad patch in your life. Maybe you go and have an adventure trip. But priority number one in my books, and I'm not going to give you a formula on how to do this because it's going to be different for everyone. Have something that matters. Have something that matters. Don't put it on the sun and the sea and a coconut and the beach or a fucking coffee looking at a fountain. It ain't gonna happen. Like you're not gonna get what you're looking for. That's just what I really want to put across here. So freedom is not found in a location environment. It is found by what you do, your creativity. If you really connect to that, it answers so many questions. The last thing, have a lifestyle that makes sense. Have a lifestyle that makes sense, man. Don't have a lifestyle that burns you out, and don't have a lifestyle that you hate, that is just like boring. Okay, now I'm going to give you the two extremes here. Like I've been on both ends of the spectrum. When I was in Bali, going for coffee, having a coconut by the beach, walking on the sand, going back to my villa to then do work, it wasn't really what I was about. Like I didn't like that setup, that lifestyle for me, it was too hot. You know, I couldn't walk anywhere. For me, that wasn't the lifestyle I wanted. Okay, so like that's on one spectrum. It was just too relaxed, too chill. Okay, there was no energy in it. It's an extended holiday, but it's too relaxed for me for a lifestyle. Now, if I go to the other extreme, like 2017 Jordan DeBano, 2018, fucking get up at 4:30, lift weights in the gym, caffeine, oats, tram into the office, on a call with Canada or the UK at 6 a.m. You know, get back to my apartment by 6 p.m., 7 p.m., sometimes 8 p.m. because I'd just be on calls all day and fall asleep. Like, man, that wasn't the lifestyle I wanted either, because I'm in an office all day and I'm barely moving. So for me, like, that lifestyle burns me out. So again, I was on two extremes, but in the middle, for me, what works is having an active lifestyle, being in an environment where I can walk, where I can move, I can do exercise, where I can dive into music and create with my musician friends here in Australia. I can get on calls with my clients at a meaningful time. Like that's not at like 9 p.m. at night in Italy or the crack of dawn in America. Like I can actually do a call at 2 p.m. if I want. I can go to the beach at the crack of dawn in Australia, get a swim in, come out, and still like there's stuff happening. Like for me, that lifestyle makes sense. I can take a day off and go to the peninsula if I want. For me, that lifestyle makes sense. Now, I could take this lifestyle and literally tack it on in LA or in Italy if I wanted to, if I truly wanted to. But for me, my sleep is very important. I don't want to be up at night doing calls. I want to do them during the day. So for me, it makes most sense to set up home in Australia, right? All I'm saying is maybe that's not you, but maybe you just don't have a lifestyle that actually makes sense. Maybe you've built a lifestyle based off what your boss said or your missus said or your boyfriend. I don't know, whatever you're into. Whatever your mum and dad said. Like, seriously, guys, we build things, we create things based off assumptions that have come from other people, and we don't even know why we're doing it. I remember back in 2016, you know, the girl I was dating at the time thought it was a brilliant idea to get up at 2 a.m. in the morning and work. She's like, entrepreneurs are hustlers. Now, for me, no clients, no leads were up at 2 a.m. So I was asleep. And I'm like, you know, I want my girl here at this time when I'm asleep. Right. And this continued on for ages. And, you know, I'd call her freaking inefficient and, you know, addicted to her work, and she'd call me lazy. But do you see, like, if we had allowed those assumptions to transfer, we would have built a lifestyle that we both didn't want. Now, we're not together anymore for obvious reasons, but you can see that most people in relationships or in certain environments, they will take on that shit and create something from that place. You don't need to do that. You just need to ask yourself, what actually makes sense to me? What makes sense to me and my creativity, and the rest takes care of itself. Oh, okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that. If you are new to this YouTube channel, the podcast, all I ask you to do is subscribe, leave a review. Tell me if you've loved it. Tell me why you love it. Tell me what you've taken away. If you don't like it, again, I can't do anything for you. Just don't listen anymore. Share it with a friend if you have enjoyed it, and feel free to send me a message on what your experience has been as a nomad. If you've been a nomad, if you've been someone that has been on that journey to go and find themselves and move around this planet called Earth, and you know, you've come back home and gone, man, you know what? I actually have it pretty good here. I want to hear from you. So definitely send me a message on Instagram at Jordan DeBano. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Anyhow, Thanks for tuning into the first episode. We will catch you guys soon, and hope you're having a great day.